Howdy, all you delicious people. Season 6, Episode 3, The Masked Singer. This season, I guess we're gonna know exactly who's gonna make it in the finals, right? Without question. Just the talent pool, just for The Masked Singer is so low that you are pretty much guaranteeing you're like, well, place your bets because you know who's going to make it into the final, at least the final four, right, of the show. Like, it's obvious, right? It has to be, like, Banana Split and probably the Bull have to at least make it down the road because, without question, man, like, this is going to be such a season that feels like a waste of time. How it just feels like there's a lot of just this going on in this season. It's just a lot of just, like, I remember there used to be talent in this show, real legitimate talent that would just be, like, blowing people away, creating the best performances of the season, or creating, like, the best performances, like, of all time. But instead, there's just a lot of this going on. To where I'm not saying that people have to go out of their way to give me a Whitney Houston style performance, or really have to just give me this, like, this performance of them just dancing around and choreographing like a mother, because that doesn't happen really anymore either. That's a severely rare thing of a choreographed performance, because most of these people aren't actually singers for the most point. And if they are, like, they aren't going to be doing much of a choreography thing anyways, because of how ridiculously, like, cumbersome all of these costumes are, because they probably weigh 1 billion freaking pounds. Because of the, like, yeah, hey guys, let's go and put 100-pound, like, head upon somebody. But yeah, so, like, not only that, and, like, I'm like, oh my god, for the people that forcibly have to do these costumes, to where, like, that's probably the real reason why people are like, F this, like, I'm not going to do this show, because, like, I'm not going to go and sweat my patukas off trying to do this show. So yeah, show quality has really just diminished. I remember where like early in the show, there was a lot of competition going on, and you would just be utterly shocked by the people who went home. You're like, oh my god, that person? Oh my god. Like, there was some surprises even in the elimination part of every episode. This, you're just like, nah, like, I can see any number of these people going home, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. Like, basically, but you can already tell who's going to be in the finals this season. It's a season that's a waste of time. So, let's just hurry up and call this an episode. Like, I also realized that, like, really just the viewing has really just diminished. Like, man, there used to be some old episodes that I just kind of uploaded afterwards that are still skyrocketingly doing well compared to my usual thing. And to eventually see now where, like, it's just kind of this steady, like, hey, like, basically what I did for season 2, I'm doing just as well for season 6. Like, it's not a, like the brand new episodes are doing well for review. So it's just like, well, maybe that just means that we need to do something different. We need to eventually just call it a season, call it a show, call it done. Just because, what difference does this make? What difference does a show make for my channel also, which is sad to say, because it's like, I liked this show, but I don't like this season. And it has nothing to do with whoever is to get unmasked. It has nothing to do with like, oh, I didn't like that this one specific celebrity. No, I just don't like this season overall. Um, with like some interesting song selections that are obvious to say that like certain people are going to the finals because there is no one else. So that said, let's get to the guesses. So Queen of Hearts, really supposedly the clue package was to say that this person is best friends supposedly with Hilary Swank. So we had this weird kind of southern drawl with this character, and then when she was to be singing, it sounded like she had this kind of like I want to say, and I'm hoping this doesn't sound offensive. Um, she ends up having this kind of she had this like southern kind of or not southern Spanish kind of accent while singing, which I'm like, okay, this is so weird because she has a southern accent in one thing, but then she has a so I'm like, what the F is this? Like what is this character? Like I'm so impressed by all of a sudden there being two different kind of accents while this person is singing, and I'm so impressed. So what immediately came to mind was possibly Penelope Cruz, which I just don't think that. I know Ken had said Renee Zellweger, which I can't really say that really at all. Because really, I know that she was in like Chicago and whichever, and I don't know. I think that's a big. I doubt that. If it's Renee Zellweger, I will be extremely surprised because I'll be like, "Whoa!" Like somebody dust out the highbrow freaking caliber artist of things. But who knows? Maybe she has family members that love this show or something. But I don't know. I think Renee is really reaching to say that it's her. Um, I also kind of came up with a conclusion of Ana de Armas, who uh, I would probably say that she has been in the Keanu Reeves movie Knock Knock. And also, like, I think she has kind of played different kind of styles of characters. So maybe she has the ability to, at some point, kind of throw her voice at some point. Uh, but yeah, like these are the only people that I can probably think of who this is. It seems like it has to probably be someone with a Spanish accent. I think the Southern accent is probably a lie. Because why would somebody be singing with a seemingly Spanish accent and like they're obviously while they're talking, I'm sure they're trying to throw somebody off. So I think while this person is actually singing, that's the real voice, and whatever they're actually doing as the accent thing afterwards, that's to throw people off. So there's something distinct about this person's voice that if they were to actually talk legitimately, like you would know who this person is. So I was thinking that it might have been some Spanish actress of sorts. So these are the conclusions that I made with because, like, I was like, this voice sounds when they were singing. I'm like, this voice sounds so familiar, but I can't quite like pick it out. Like I was kind of thinking that it could be maybe also like Salma Hayek. It could be like that's what I was thinking also. That could be Salma Hayek because I've never actually seen her sing before, but I don't know. Like it could be I don't know. We'll figure this out, but like again, I'm probably not thinking Salma Hayek or Penelope Cruz because I'm thinking that's kind of like a really high list of people. And I'm thinking that this show doesn't have that kind of caliber, budget, whichever, of a person, but I could be wildly surprised. So otherwise, let's go on to the next thing. So the Mallard. I immediately had, like, I know, like, I watched, or technically, not this time around, because I was so lazy for this episode. I did not watch it while it was on TV. I rewatched it on Hulu. That's how much, like, the first two episodes immediately was like, dude, I gotta watch this, like, brand new episode on TV. This time around, I'm like, dude, I just don't care. Like, I'm just gonna go and watch it on Hulu, reruns, whatever. Like, I would do that before and the seasons were even better. Like, this time around, I'm like, I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered to watch it because it's not, like, I could already tell, like, from episode 1 that I'm like, yeah, is this really gonna be, like, I have to question quality now? But I thought the Mallard had an interesting performance, but we'll kind of see where that goes. So the Mallard came up, and so there's a weird clue package, him talking about a human jukebox and how I guess he used to sing all the time. And, like, I know I was honestly, I was watching this with I was, like, this time around, so, like, my mom was kind of letting me know, like, like, at first she thought it was, like, Bradley Cooper, and I was like, okay, I'll have to watch this show and figure that out. And so, like, I listened to the character, I'm like, that doesn't sound anything at all like Bradley Cooper. But I was like, hey, like, good guess or whatever, like, I guess that would make sense. Because supposedly the best friend of this person is to actually have been Chris Pratt, which I'm like, okay, like, I'm sure a lot of people are going to pick like Vin Diesel probably, right? Because Guardians of the Galaxy. Are they going to pick Dave Bautista because Guardians of the Galaxy co-stars? Because that's all people would probably pick. Like, when hearing this voice, and, like, I also kind of just reassessed this with my mom, because we watched this together or whatever. Like, so what? Like, say what anybody wants to say. Like, frickin', like, viewing and whatever isn't gonna matter anyway. For these ones, obviously, it just seems like people are disinterested in this show, or probably just disinterested in me, and that's completely okay. Because, hey, I'm just going to keep going and eventually realize that I just don't care about the show, and I'll just stop. It'll be my retirement of The Masked Singer, because I spam the crap out of this show, and I think the older episodes are just, like, a thing that I can just rest my hat on. Or maybe I'll just go back to the first season and then, like, that'll be my finishing up. But yeah, like, I just don't think I want to take the time to do that kind of thing anymore. For, like, Masked Singer in general. Anyways, like, I could probably go through a quick recapping of season 1, and I could be like, yeah, this is what I all chose, and just to kind of see if people are interested in season 1 stuff. I don't know. But anyways, pushing on, I'm taking too long for this episode. So, Willie Robertson is who I assumed could be the Mallard. I've seen some random episodes of Duck Dynasty, because we actually have seen them on reruns. Like, I'll admit, I've seen, I'm a person that doesn't watch much of Duck Dynasty. Like, I've had other people watch it, and I kind of just casually just go, huh, like, that looks like an interesting show. But I've never honestly sat down and purposely watched a whole entire thing of Duck Dynasty. I just kind of casually watched it here and there, but, like, I've been also watching something else while watching that show also. So, like, no offense to the people who put together Duck Dynasty. Like, I just don't usually watch much of reality TV anymore. Like, I just don't. Like, it's been a number of years since I've really sat down and watched reality TV. Uh, because I would just rather watch a movie or a show that is to not do with anything with that. Like, no offense. So Willie Robertson, like, I know he is to be a very religious guy because I've seen Duck Dynasty. But if this is actually him, he sounds actually really good. Um, like, yeah, there's a lot of this going on for this season, but like the Mallard, if this is to be him, sounds good. So I can't, and plus also, it's interesting because his character is to mention that this is not the style of dress that he is used to wearing. So he's not a he's not a highbrow, like really just high end person that wears that kind of clothing. So that works well with Duck Dynasty. Also, it seems that I think they do have like mallards or whatever in Duck Dynasty. I think they end up doing like duck calls that I think do look like mallards or something close to that. From what I remember from from what little I've seen of that show. Um, so yeah, like the Mallard Duck Dynasty, like this could be the easiest like guess for anyone to get, and people won't figure it out, or maybe they already have because they've watched this. So pushing on, like I'm kind of like trying to figure out like how much further do we have here. Oh yeah, the banana split is the last one, so I'm like, okay, so I'm safe because I don't remember much of the order. So the cupcake, I am immediately thinking is RuPaul, but whoever this is does sound good. I enjoy this performance. Like, I think immediately people were thrown off by this performance, and I was just like, hey, whoever it is, it sounded really good. I hope this is RuPaul, because they've been saying RuPaul numerous times, guessing RuPaul numerous times on this show. So hopefully we finally get RuPaul, and hopefully if this is RuPaul in this thing, this costume seems very difficult, and I'm hoping that RuPaul isn't freaking straining RuPaul's self in this thing if this is actually RuPaul. But whoever this is, this costume is probably really complicated and is probably really a pain to do. You get the one point where the cupcake is eventually trying to leave the stage and they can't see at all where they're going, obviously, to where eventually Nick Cannon has to redirect them to where they are going. And I'm like, oh my god, I feel so bad for this person. Whoever this is, I feel horrible for them. And like, I hope that eventually they do well in this show. But I don't know. We'll see here. Like this costume is really fun, and I hope Cupcake does well, because this actually seemed like a pretty decent performance. Like I don't like I'm having like it feels like I have mixed feelings, but hope this character does well. I also hope that Mallard does well, just because reasonably there's not really much of any good, real, true, legitimate talent that I could like, wow, that person is going to make it really far for this show. So, like, if I'm going to pick anybody, it's probably going to be Mallard, and it's probably going to be Cupcake so far. With the easy guesses of, like, the Bull and Banana Split are going to make it into the finals. Obviously. I forgot who was to be eliminated from this episode. And we'll get to that probably next. So we'll get to that. So moving on. The Dalmatian was actually the masked mascot who had gotten eliminated upon this episode, and by the end of this episode, you will find out who this was to be unmasked. Letting also everyone know, just so everyone's aware, I do these guesses during the show. Like, it has to be while the show is going on. Like, it can't be like I guess after the show. It can't be like, it has to be during the show. For this Hulu Rewind, it was a lot easier for me to take the time to guessing. Like, I basically took a lot of commercial breaks in between performances and picked my own thing, which was a lot more fun than having to do it during the actual show. Because I can savor my flavor and take as much time as I frickin' want, and pause and just be like, okay, who out of a million people could this actually be? So, McCarthy made the guess about Cat Stevens, and I went with that guess. It seems like this for me is a lazy season, because I've a lot of times went with the judges' guesses, and very, very less often do I ever kind of stray away and guess my own thing. Very rarely in the show, because I have no clue who any number of these people are. So it's hugely frustrating, and that's also why I'm just like, if I'm going to have to go through every single thing and just go with the judges, I think that's probably the reason why I'm just kind of interested in just not doing this anymore. Because I can't come up with my own unique kind of style of guessing. So that obviously means that maybe I'm just like not that talented to do this kind of show anymore. Um, Before, like, I used to just be like, yeah, like, what the heck were the judges thinking? Like, that's hilarious how I've come full circle now to just be like, yeah, I'm going with the judges' guesses because I have no clue. That's where we've gone to now, where I, like, before I'd be like, what the judges thinking? Now I'm like, I need to know what the judges are thinking because I have no freaking clue. So I think that's telling me that I need to be Old Yeller and be put out to pasture because my guesses suck. So I guess that's. I think we're gonna have to ride off in the sunset either fairly soon or just by the end of this season. Because if I lose too much of this season, yeah, I might just be like, dude, there's no coming back from this. There's no coming back. So this all relies on Cat Stevens being the Dalmatian by the end of this episode, because I have seen Cat Stevens' stand-up. I remember I remember that he would do, he did this one joke about him being on a roast and how he made this joke about like crispity crackety, where like he consistently made that kind of joke in one of his stand-ups, where eventually he went to this one roast and like a lot of it would all just be like this, like kind of one kind of comedy that just kept happening over and over and over again. And then he would just go to the one guy that got roasted and he just didn't care. It's like, hey man, like we all got our checks, right? We all cashed our checks. And like Cat Stevens was like really impressed because like, yeah, like I guess we just, yeah. So, but yeah, but I've seen like obvious, like just taking that from one little snippet, but I also just love like Cat Stevens' like facial expressions, like when he would like eventually be offended by something, like how his face was like how he just like do his face while he's doing his stand up, because like especially when he was, I think the one performance that he was doing was in this like giant like arena or something, and like I don't think a lot of people could see the guy's face, but like this guy could like make you laugh just on facial expressions, and that's like a very lost kind of art form where like a lot of times like you don't see a lot of like comedians much anymore that would kind of like make you laugh with just the way that like their face moves, or like how they would just kind of like just kind of really just perform without having to actually say anything. That's a very lost art. So Cat Stevens is a great performer. Go ahead and check out any of his stand-up. I would really recommend it. But pushing on to the last performance, then we'll go and guess, or we'll just tell you who the guy person under Dalmatian was. Pushing on. So I went, of course, with Robin's Thick's guess for this one, just because I'm very uncreative. Immediately when they said, like, basically all the couples in the world who could probably perform and sing and whatever, here's the thing. So, I don't even know if I'm going to even say this couple's names correctly, so hopefully I can ballparkingly say it correctly, because there's been a lot of names where I had to come up with the right names for things. So, going into this, a lot of people probably said, like, Faith Hill and Tim McGraw, and in all honesty, like, for, like, the female of this group, and some people said Sugarland for whatever reason. I don't really have ever heard of Sugarland, so if people were to guarantee me that this is Sugarland, I've probably never heard of them enough to really just assess that this could be Sugarland. Plus, I also thought wasn't Sugarland 3 people? Why is there 2 here? This seems like a couple. But I don't think that this is Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Like, I think this female actually sounds like a questionably young singer. So, like, I don't think that it could be Faith Hill, but it's been a while since I've heard Faith Hill. But in all honesty, I think that it's Catherine McPhee, and I think his name is Ben Foster, just because I have heard McPhee, like, I've seen her in Community, hence why Kim Jong, like, knows about her. Like, I know McPhee has been on American Idol. I think she was in the Daughtry season, which I'm like, okay, so that would be an easy way for McPhee to eventually be on the show, because Daughtry was on the show. And maybe after Daughtry was being on the show, she's like, oh, maybe I should go and try this out. So yeah, I think this couple is probably an easy fit for this banana split. And if it's somebody else, some random celebrity thing, whichever, like, yeah, like, I could... Like, the one thing that I didn't quite understand, where, like, the female of this group was mentioning how, like, she did this job of hers, and then all of a sudden she got this little thing of stardom, and then all of a sudden she had to go right back to the same job that she was doing, which is like, okay, I can understand that, where, like, I think, like, McPhee, like, she, like, did probably have, like, a common person job, and then, like, she did really well on American Idol, but she didn't win, so that just pushed her right back into eventually just going back to the same old job that she was at. Maybe that's what that means? But then eventually she just, luckily enough, just started to audition and do acting gigs. And it seems like she's been consistently doing acting gigs. It seems. Because hence why I said she was on Community. Because I have seen McPhee in a couple of, like, acting roles. So, but, like, as far as what, like, they're actually doing together and whichever. Yeah, so... we'll kind of see who these people are at the end of all this, because I'm assuming that this is an easy, like, finals kind of group for these two. So now we have to reveal who the Dalmatian is, which I was severely excited by the Dalmatian getting unmasked. And after I was seeing this character unmasked, I was like, oh my god, whoa! Like, this season has just exploded it. It exploded it. I was like, whoa. Like, Dalmatian, like, yeah, this season has just gone to a whole nother level. I was like, the Dalmatian was singing the Snoop Dogg song Beautiful with Pharrell Williams and all that stuff, and I was just like, man, we have just gotten to a whole nother level, and like, talent has now just come out of the woodwork, and we are just to be exploding with the talent of things. So now we are going to unveil who the Dalmatian is within, like, just about right now. We're going to reveal who the Dalmatian is. So if you don't want to know, go out of your way to say that you went on to Hulu and rewatch this show. Or you can just go on and just probably go onto a Facebook of The Masked Singer, or go on to The Masked Singer's YouTube channel, and you can pretty much see everything. You can pretty much see the whole show. Pretty much the only thing that you miss out of is all the banter, a lot of this that the judges eventually make and Nick Cannon makes. Like, you can miss all that, because like all you'll just get is, like, all you'll just miss out on is Ken always being like, I know who this is, and that's like the best part of the show. Like, besides when Robin Thicke just does a lot of this too, and McCarthy does a lot of this, and Nicole does a lot of this, like, and Nick Cannon is just there half the time because he is. Oh, why did I have to make jokes about Nick Cannon? He's the host. Like, of course he's a good host. Like, I don't know. Anyways, pushing on. So now the Dalmatian is to be revealed right now. Tyga! Grammy-nominated rapper Tyga was the Dalmatian. Sure! Tyga! I don't even know who this person is. I don't even know. I obviously just don't know rap all that much. I would say, like, it's kind of funny when Nicole was to mention that it's probably a little somebody at one part, I think, in this episode, where it's like, it's probably Young Jeezy or Young Easy or one of those youngs, right? One of those littles, one of those youngs, one of those whatevers. Like, it's Little Easy or Little Easy, that's all, folks. So, evidently this is another wrong answer for this season, which, get ready for that pattern to continue, because, like, we are just, like, how do we get to this point? For me to just be like, I have no clue. Every episode I'm just going to rely on judges' guesses. And I think that's a gigantic problem of which that I'm having in this season, is just like, I have to clutch on to the guesses of the judges. This has just gone into a not so good season for me. To the point where it's just like, I guess I don't know anybody anymore. The talent pool has just diminished upon the show. And it gets to the point where I'm just like, okay, this show is just, like, just, who are these people? Who are them? Who are them, their peoples? I don't knows. Because talent pool is just not exactly a thing where I'm like, wow, this person? Wow, I'm shocked. I'm just, like, severely just, man, this season. Can't wait for episode 4. See who else is gonna just eventually give us wild cards or whatever. For us to just, like, I just want to go and speed bag to like the last like 4 who gets eliminated. This show is just so C list. It's sad. If not B list, or if not Z list, whichever, whatever. Like, let me know in the comments what kind of list of stars that you think people are upon this season. If you're saying A, I would say, what? Huh? Who? A-list? Everybody just say that all these stars are the cream of the crop, when a lot of them, like, their greatest hit was probably decades ago. Not saying, like, this artist hasn't done current content. Like, I'm just saying, like, it seems like everybody had like, some kind of greatest thing happen to them, like, in the 90s, or some, like, that's freaking sad to say. Like, I have never heard of Tyga in my life, so I must not know much about music. And, like, I think maybe there was one time where maybe they said Tyga on this show as a guess, and maybe that might be another reason why this guy is on this show. RuPaul had been named numerous times on the show to be somebody, so I could easily assess that RuPaul is to be on the show just because of that. I think even Willie was to also be mentioned at some point in time on this show, so I can understand him possibly being on this show. Anything else? Here's also the thing that, like, I thought was really goofy about this is, like, we end up seeing seasons before where, like, especially the whole, like, during the, like, the quarantine kind of season, where eventually you would find out that these, like, all these celebrities were already at home and whatever, so a lot of this stuff is, like, all pre-recorded, and so everything is, like, pre-recorded and whatever. And so all of a sudden, like, people eventually are coming out of the shadows to be like, hey, yeah, I guess I was on The Masked Singer for however long. But yeah, it's kind of weird now how really it's just like, yeah, it is what it is for the show. I retire. I retire from reviewing show. I retire from Masked Singer. Maybe like tune in next week to see if I review this show. Tune in next week to see if I care about this show. That'll be the cliffhanging thing, to have people interested in this show again, is to see if I review it or not. If it's a really good show, you'll see me here. If it's a show that I'm just like, just somebody just please just get this show over with already. Like, can we fast track this? Could we eliminate a lot of people in one show? Can we eliminate like 6 people in one show just to quick this thing up to eventually get to another season where we have seemingly better quality of life for singing? No offense, Tyga. Like, something was cool about that delivery. That was a very difficult song. We'll give him that. We'll give him that. He had a really hard song to sing, and like I liked that it was like a really difficult song. But he got eliminated anyways. But I think it was a real just like anybody but the banana split was going to go home. So it made it really easy just for people to just like, I'm going to randomly pick anybody to get eliminated. Or really, it's just the show that quickly eliminates people. Because the show has already just said who the winner is going to be anyways. And it's becoming really obvious for this season that they've already like picked winners ahead of time. Because every reality show does that. And so, like, yeah. Like, it feels obvious with this season, right? So, I'm going to get out of here. Bye, everybody. I've talked long enough. And plus, also, this is like 30 minutes for probably a 40 or 30-minute show, maybe. Maybe less than that. I don't know. But I'm going to get out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.